3. Hey, yo. Welcome to McAfee and Hawk Sports Talk, Tuesday, May 12th, also known as potentially the slowest day in this sports history. We are entering day X of quarantine and live sports not happening in America aside from human cockfighters. We can't wait to chat with you about a potential beef with Mark Cuban, a little conversation, and the Blue Angels are flying over top of the building in about an hour. Yeah! We will go check that out. Woo! Joining me is the co-host of the show, the man that's sitting on the throne of cigars and lighters here. To my left, Mr. AJ Hawk.
What's up, Pat? Was that a Rocky Balboa impression you did to start the show out?
Scott Hall.
AJ.
Razor Ramon. Hey, yo.
Yeah, I know who he is. Yeah, he's in that Jake the Snake documentary, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
Get the crag down.
Crag down.
And the monoscope. Sorry about that.
What went down? What'd you knock over?
Send it over to Mo for the results. Mo! That's a show you didn't know anything about, right? AJ didn't even know what
Yeah.
I still don't know anything about it.
You had to have seen it. It feels like you probably competed in it.
Yeah.
Was it on Nickelodeon?
Yeah, you know Mike O'Malley.
Mike
I know
O'Malley,
Double
Mo, Aggro Crag.
I honestly, I don't know why I can't think of it.
You know, how come my hair won't stay down here?
You need some hair gel.
It's the curl.
I don't use hair gel. Is that what
It's
you
been
said?
trained to stay
Car
up.
oil. Car oil works.
Car oil?
You ever seen that movie Crybaby?
Biggest not rocking out.
You ever seen Crybaby, the movie?
Yeah, it's amazing. Johnny Depp tied his tongue with Band-Aid, or with, what do you call it?
String?
Rubber bands.
Was Johnny Depp Crybaby?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it makes so much more sense. We were forced to watch that whenever we were kids, weren't we? Was that in that movie not on whenever we were in high school or something like
It
that?
was on a lot when we were younger.
Crybaby was having sex with all the ladies. He was emotional, though. He cried all the time. Guy had feelings.
The girls probably liked that. Maybe that's why he was getting with them.
Well, that's why, Drake sings all these soft songs because he's single. I just want him. I won't come out with a banger. Have you listened?
Well, he probably knows. Don't you think girls are more likely to buy his albums and stream all of his stuff than guys?
Well, I mean, at this point, yeah, because he doesn't want us to like any of his music. That's what I'm learning about Drake. He does not want me to like his music, which is kind of.
It's a good movie, Pat. And your hair reminded me of it. Look Who's Talking. John Travolta's in it.
You're saying I look like John Travolta and Look Who's Talking?
From Grease.
Oh, Danny Zuko.
Beauty school dropout. No graduation day for you. Beauty school dropout.
Hey, did you see the Gotti movie
Failed your
that Travolta was
midterm
in?
and flunk shampoo.
That's pretty good.
I used that as a pregame music whenever I was a senior in soccer. I used the entire Grease soundtrack as the pregame. So you come to the stadium to watch our soccer team play. The pregame music was picked by the seniors. We picked the Grease soundtrack. So that's what was banging over the speakers whenever people would come. There's no reason. I was hated by every principal and teacher and athletic director, but it was electric. You get the student section. Beauty school drama. You the one that I want. Yeah, Sorry, AJ. Let's get back to it. I learned this morning from Darren Woodson, who's a Cowboys Ring of Honor member, a man who was in a lot of Pro Bowls, an absolute stud, worked for ESPN for 14 years. His business that he's focusing on now is the Darren Woodson Show, which is a deep conversation, dive into the journey of getting to the top. But also, he's a commercial real estate guy. They search in real estate. I think they find office space, whatever. You get it. He does good business there. His office is in the Dallas Cowboy facility there, the Star, whatever the hell it is, and he has a window in his office that just overlooks the practice facility. He told us about how in June he'll see Dak Prescott throwing to like the number 5 wide receiver to get his reps in at 2 p.m. And I said, excuse me, Darren, I respect the fact that Dak is a leader and he's going in the extra work, but I have to question you being able to watch this. Can you just see all of practice? He said, yeah, my window goes right to the practice field, the outdoor practice facility. I was like, are you the only office that does that? He said, no, 30 to 50 offices have that. So Who knows how many humans are in there? If you're the Philadelphia Eagles, why don't you just get a shell corporation down in Dallas, get one of those things, and you're just watching practice. This was one of the most absurd things I've ever heard, especially because my knowledge of general managers being scared to death that their shit's going to get leaked. It feels like that's a setup for a disaster. Is that why the clapper couldn't win? Because people see what he was clapping about in practice, write it down, send it to the team, and just one little advantage without knowing a surprise. I mean, that's a big deal. Am I wrong and am I overstating this, Mr. Hawk?
No, I don't think you're overstating it, especially with the level of paranoia that most coaches seem to have in the NFL. So his office, this is all part of their new practice facility that Jerry Jones owns the whole deal, right?
Yeah, he owns the practice facility, and then they have buildings on either side too. So it's like it's completely encapsulated, basically, of corporate America.
So he can charge more rent, I'm sure, if it overlooks the practice field, but it does open it up to people setting GoPros up, hidden cams, watching, seeing what they're doing.
Let alone nowadays, they got those cameras that are as small as a pin.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? They can see whatever. Now, if I'm Mike McCarthy, I think mission number one is probably to get our practice field some fucking privacy. I think that is something that you should think about. Now, Jerry Jones is a brilliant businessman. But maybe the reason why the Cowboys haven't been winning as much is because everybody knows what the fuck they're going to do. I mean, that just seems like a potential disadvantage to your team. Now, I might be wrong. They might have other practice. I guess they have an indoor practice facility as well. But anytime they're playing an outdoor team, I would assume that they're practicing outside. There's just buildings surrounding it that can watch their every move. That is insanity to me.
Well, especially how close they are, and that it's all part of like the Cowboys thing. Like that's what's weird about it. There's other places like Cincinnati where they practice is right off the highway, and it's right pretty much in downtown Cincinnati. So there's high-rise buildings up there that you could go camp out and watch with binoculars if you wanted, but the Bengals don't own those buildings. But it would be a lot more difficult. But if you're like Woodson says, if you're describing it to where it's one of those offices that overlooks their outdoor field, yeah, I guess Mike McCarthy may be doing anything that's anything meaningful he might be doing in the indoor facility and not put it out there for everyone to see, it seems like.
Yeah, that's just an added distraction, but Jerry's making money off of it, I assume, which is good for the business, which is good for the team, which is good for everything. So you have to kind of live by the sword, die by the sword in this particular fashion. But special teams, any fakes, those things have to be 100% surprise or they'll blow up in your face. I mean, that is something that has to happen. Even trick plays on the offensive side of the ball has to happen. Now, it doesn't look like there's any upright. So I'm assuming they're not running full practices out there. That's just, oh, no, there's one back there. The practice facility's back there.
Mm-hmm. The indoor, yeah.
And look at that building right there.
Well, don't they play like high school games in their indoor facility?
State championship is there.
I have no idea. I just know Darren Woodson told me 30 to 50 companies can just overlook the practice field. And that was madness to me because Bill Polian used to think planes that were flying too low were potentially the fucking Patriots. I mean, so now this is even happening. I mean, is Mike McCarthy going to say, hey, I need McAfee's woodpecker down here to come break every fucking pane of glass?
You don't even have to open up a shell company. Just if say you have some low-level scout, you send him off, say he's gonna go scout the Dallas area, and he finds a way into getting a job with one of these companies that has an office overlooking this practice facility. So, and he's the only guy there that knows what he's doing. He acts like he's doing his normal job, whatever. He's an accountant, but he's overlooking the facility. But like you said, he's setting up these weird little pinhole cameras trying to spy on what the Cowboys are doing and just going about his life and sending that info back to Philly or wherever he works for.
Bro, classic espionage. Classic.
Yeah.
Classic.
Classic
Textbook.
espionage. And by the way, people think that the people in the NFL won't do this. You're wrong. People in the NFL will do this. Wins and
Billions
losses,
and billions of dollars on the line.
Yeah, wins and losses revolve. There's a lot of money and commas moving whenever you're winning games. And if you can get an advantage like that, that's something. Now, I assume Jerry had already thought about this, and I assume he had his master plan. But what if
You think he really vets these companies? Like, hey, you're not going to spy on us, are you?
Yeah.
Who's your favorite team? Cowboys. Damn right. Get a fucking
Find out Jerry. He knows all about corporate espionage.
Yeah, give him a 10-year lease. I would want an office overlooking the Cowboys practice facility.
We should. I thought about us having a mobile studio. Like one day we just go down there and the backdrop is the Dallas Cowboys practice facility. What do we got to pay? We get a 5-year lease. It's worth it. Just drop down there whenever we want and have our own live show from their practice facility. That's immediately what I thought while Darren Woodson was talking. I was like, we should get an office down there. And then I had to continue the conversation, obviously, and make it seem smooth. But in my head, I was just thinking of everything. I'm like, oh, my God, you just know everything that's going on.
You got to be able to decipher all the information, though, like all that you're seeing, which head coaches can do, but it's going to take some time. Like if you want to actually gain some kind of good info that you can use in a game, you got to really take a lot of time and watch all of that and write it down and figure out. Even if you know they're practicing this fake. Let's say they practice the fake for 8 weeks in a row. You have no idea when they're going to run it.
Oh, you don't think Troy Polamalu fucking flew out to Indianapolis and saw our practice film? I think he did. I still to this day think he saw the film somehow.
I don't think so.
Well, Ike Taylor told me that he talks to God and God tells him what he's thinking. That's why he does the thing every single time. And by the way, speaking of God, Sammy Watkins, an article came out. Have you seen this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so he believes in reincarnation heavily, and he believes that spirits latch onto your soul in different points in your life just to experience the physical being, and then they bounce and go. And he has the ability to decipher the evil spirits that show up, and he can guard them off so bad things don't happen to him. And he thinks sometimes whenever the evil spirits come and he guards them off, they go to somebody else, which is bad because with good comes the bad. He took a deep dive in a Bleacher Report article down there in New Orleans talking about his beliefs and all this stuff. I mean, this guy is a very deep man who has a lot of thoughts, and I can't fathom having all that going on in your head and being able to figure out how to fucking play football. And he's been able to do this. He's been able to fight off spirits. He's been able to pick and choose which spirits are good and bad, and learn Andy Reid's offense, which is a very tough offense to learn. Sammy Watkins might become the beautiful mind in the most impressive thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, it sounds like he may be the smartest guy on the planet. How do you decipher between good and evil spirits, and when do you know? Like, do you know right as they present themselves, or does it take some time to vet them?
The eyes are the windows to the soul, my friend. So whenever that spirit shows up, you look at them in the eyes or her in the eyes, and you can see if they're good or not. You say, hey, lady, get the hell out of here. Or, hey, you can come to the Super Bowl with me if you want.
It's really pretty simple.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are also calling him guy and man. He could be a dog. He might be a dinosaur. You know, you don't know.
He did say that you never know who you are, what your spirit actually is. Mm-hmm. My spirit, for instance, probably an American bald eagle that had passed away, came into a human, and now it's living its physical human life. It's using my body as a carrier of its soul and spirit. Sammy Watkins said he potentially fucking dinosaur. We don't know. Do we know if he's a triceratops? We will never know. We will honestly never know. But Sammy doesn't know either. He said it could be anything. He just has to ward off the spirits. And hey, if this helps you get by day to day and this helps you enjoy your life, I'm all about it. Do whatever you got to do, pal. But it seems exhausting.
It does seem exhausting. But I'm curious to know, can you cultivate enough of this to where when a bad spirit comes your way, I can direct it towards somebody else? Like, not just get away from me, but I want to point it right at somebody that I want.
I don't think you can catch it and throw it. You can just deflect it. He said in the article, he wins the Super Bowl and then his uncle passes away, who was very close to him, had no prior illnesses. They don't know why he died. He's afraid that he potentially got one of the evil spirits that decided to turn him off after he warned him away during the Super Bowl.
I mean, that is exhausting. I'm glad that I cannot communicate with these spirits, good or evil, because it does seem like a big responsibility that I just don't want right now.
Think about those mediums, that Long Island lady. She's just walking around all the time, and these fucking dead people are just popping in like, hey, I want to
she's
talk
totally legit.
Whoopi?
Is that her name?
No, Whoopi Goldberg was one.
What's that?
The movie
Whoopi
Ghost?
Goldberg.
Yeah, she was medium.
Whoopi Goldberg's a medium?
Yes.
Oh, you never seen Ghost?
Nah.
Patrick Swayze.
The pottery scene where the guys, Patrick Swayze's behind, and they're like,
He's feeling her up and groping her while they're doing it.
yeah, they're
What?
it's a horrible vase they're
What are
making.
you guys talking about?
Making pots.
Yeah.
I'll pull up the scene.
Anyways, Sammy Watkins is going through some shit. And if this helps him get by day to day, I mean, by the way, maybe he's not going through some shit. Maybe we just aren't at the level that he's at. But I couldn't imagine being tasked with the duty of warding off spirits that are potentially coming to attack my body. I just couldn't imagine having to do it.
While you're playing a Super Bowl, nonetheless. I mean, come on.
You're
Give the
running-
guy a break.
Big play in the Super Bowl, by the way, for Sammy Watkins.
Yeah.
Big comeback. He started dominating there late in the season. And he's first-round draft pick, obviously very fast. But, I mean, that'd be a lot to just be like, yeah, bad one, good one. Let me keep that one. Come on in.
Richard Sherman.
You
Well,
can stay out of here.
Did they ask him about, like, the coronavirus? Like, does he have any insight on when this thing might open up a little bit?
This was a week after the Super Bowl, so I think this was potentially prior to coronavirus. But
He knew about it. He obviously already knew about it.
I don't know if he can tell the future. I think he can just, figures out spirits. But I would like to talk to Sammy Watkins about said spirits that are potentially bouncing around my fucking ass, because what a incredible, legendary ridiculous group of spirits that's probably is that's bouncing around.
When something like this comes out, are teams, do you think, like, what the fuck is going on with this guy?
Look for him to sign only at places that know him and like places that have already worked with him. Because, by the way, I mean, there's people that wouldn't sign me because I tweeted. Right? I mean, that's something that if somebody doesn't fully understand something, they'd rather stay away from it as opposed to deal with it. And in the football world, any distraction can help it make it even harder to win a game because it's not easy to win a game. So it'd have to be people that have already worked with Sammy Watkins that'd be like, hey, we know him. Yeah, he does this, but he's a good worker. He does this, and he's able to manage the spirits and work. But you're 100% right that some football guy that's been around, he says he's got spirit. The only spirit I want is team spirit. You know what I mean? There's a lot of that still in the football world, but it would have to be people that he's been around. I assume this is why he retired, by the way. He got sick of explaining it or dealing with it, and then he came out, and then he's going back. It's like the Sammy Watkins, every single day, I couldn't imagine the mental battles that are going on, but I'm happy he's got through depression. He's on the other side of it as a success story.
Well, what about, like, I want to read what his scouting report is. Like, when they have a scout that writes up a report on him, like, what's the prognosis? Does it mention the spirits?
Really fast. Really, really fast. The guy is really fast.
Okay.
Catches the ball very, very well. Can run good routes. Seems to be a hard worker. Also, wards off spirits. Okay, I'll just slip that one in there.
Hey, the more you can do, right?
Could be an Angels in the outfield situation where the spirit picks him up and helps him make catches.
And by the way,
So is that a PED?
No.
it'd be a PES.
Yeah.
Those aren't illegal yet.
Nope.
Oh, nobody knows
Not
anything
yet.
about performance
They should probably
enhancing
stay
spirits.
quiet because they'll start testing for spirits.
If Roger Goodell finds out that Sammy Watkins, my commissioner, if he finds out that Sammy Watkins had Angels in the outfield in that fucking Super Bowl game, Roger Goodell will do what's right, which is punish him and those spirits. And that is something you can have full faith in. Another thing you can have full faith in is Dave Portnoy pulling off one of the most genius things that ever happened on planet Earth with winning this man cave NFL auction all-in thing to go and hang out with Roger Goodell, his M&Ms, his 30-year-old chair that he sits in and watches Monday Night Football in Roger Goodell's basement. Dave Portnoy, once again, becomes an even bigger genius and spends $250,000 on something that will live forever, and now has Roger Goodell in a complete pretzel. While Roger Goodell is figuring out the draft and if the season's coming back and all that stuff, Dave was unboxing things, day trading, and figuring out a way to get into Roger Goodell's basement. And it happened. And now there is nothing Roger Goodell can do. This is $250,000 to a good cause. Roger Goodell's in a full pretzel. How's he going to handle it? If he does it, Dave is going to make it. It's going to be amazing. If he doesn't do it, Dave's going to say, well, he doesn't care about whoever he's donating the money to. If he tries to get out of it somehow, this is like checkmate almost between Dave Portnoy and Roger Goodell.
It is, but okay, I want to know what the rules are going to be for Dave. You know the NFL and Roger are going to try to say, like, no video equipment, you can't film all this. Maybe a couple still shots just to prove you were here. But don't you think Dave wants to roll in with a camera crew and document the whole thing?
You know those cameras that we were talking about?
Yes.
Dave will get content out of this. I mean, you got to remember, him and Roger Goodell, he's been arrested because of his relationship with Roger Goodell. He bought an entire stadium, towels and shirts because of Roger Goodell. He got dragged out of the Super Bowl in disguise because of Roger Goodell. And now he's sitting, and we've all been in Roger Goodell's basement. We've been in there. We spent an entire weekend, and Dave's just going to be sitting there with his clown shirt on, I'd assume. And then, oh my God, it's brilliant.
What if he comes away from it and he really likes Roger? Like, a lot of times it's easy to hate from afar, but then you run into him and you meet him and you like him.
I think Roger will really like Dave.
I do too. What if Dave really likes Raj?
What if they just come accountability buddies
Best
on
pals.
You know, the next generation of NFL.
That'd be awesome. Then, like, the following weekend, Dave's down there again tweeting out pictures, and he's like, "Yeah, I didn't have to pay for this one. We're just buds.
Just told me to bring M&Ms."
We can watch NFL football because Raj won't let us watch college or XFL or anything else."
It's brilliant, man. It's absolutely brilliant.
$250K. Hey, it's a write-off.
257,000, I think, is the total number.
Yeah, you can write that.
Who was bidding against him? Like, what other individual was going to bid $250,000?
Roger is what I thought. I thought Roger Goodell would be bidding against Dave in this type of thing. And then he would have been able to say, "Oh, the person wanted to respect their privacy. They would have figured out a way." But I don't even think Roger knew about it. And I feel like Dave even gave him a heads up, like, "Hey, I am currently in the lead of this auction. If you would like to do something about this, that'd be great." And Roger Goodell was so focused because he's my commissioner. He's so focused on the task at hand, you know. He's focused on getting the draft off, the season, all that stuff. My commissioner, he didn't even notice, like, oh, you got a guy coming right into your barracks, bub. I just need to let you know that.
What would you do if Roger Goodell just has a fight club down there and waiting for Dave?
Oh, Roger Goodell, by the way, we've seen him shoulder bump 300-pound dudes who are half
not
his age.
small.
Roger Goodell is not a small guy.
Puts him in an arm bar.
Hey, that's the only way, like, Roger could turn everything around. Roger has his own film crew. Dave shows up. Roger's wearing, like, a gi. He's all of a sudden, he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. He's like, all right, Dave, trust me. I know I don't acknowledge you publicly, but I've seen this. I've seen what you do, and I've had enough of it. Let's go. And he challenges him to a duel.
I think Dave or somebody around Dave was calling him Hitler at one point.
Jeez. How did this happen? How did the NFL let Dave get this?
Dave's a genius.
And Dave has the balls to go in there and do it and perform. Like,
he'll walk
he's not
in there
going to
alone,
shy
by the
away
way.
once he gets there.
If they say that he can't bring anybody, he will walk his ass in there alone. I mean, he is what a
With
savage.
9 pinhole cameras attached to his body because he knows they're going to have guys wanting him looking for electronic devices.
The video of them pulling cameras. Okay, big news. Really big fucking news we got to talk about. I don't want to do it, but I have to. Whenever you talk about this serious of news, too, you got to really be delicate. Mm-hmm. Cooper Kupp is going back to the number 10. Okay? His football career started with the number 1. Great number, good choice. Then he goes to number 10. Then he goes to 18.
What?
He is coming back home to number 10. In a strongly written letter, an emotional read about him going back to the number 10.
Is that his logo, his personal logo at the top?
Oh, yeah.
Brand, man. It's all about the brand. It's all
love
about
it.
your brand. Cooper Kupp, wide receiver, Alabama, Rams, now going back to number 10. It seems like they're making everybody take cuts out there. He had to cut 8 off of his number so that they can get into the season. They have a new stadium. They got a whole new squad. Cooper Kupp going from 18 to 10 immediately makes the Rams a threat in the NFC once again. People forget that when you're wearing 18, they're expecting you to be like Peyton Manning. They're expecting you to maybe be a little bit less athletic. And you're already a Caucasian wide receiver. So you go to number 10, now everybody's waiting on you. Now the defense is shifting to his side, which is going to open up other players. This is Cooper Kupp deciding, I'm going to be a little bit more of a distraction this year. I'm going to look much more athletic in the number 10. Like Tyreek Hill, for instance. I'm going to open it up for everybody else because we lost Gurley. We don't even really have a stadium yet. We haven't paid Clay Matthews. We're in a little bit of a struggle. Let me go to number 10, take the attention away, and we'll be right back in the Super Bowl. Shout out to Cooper Kupp being a real legend and a hero to the Los Angeles Rams, who need one at this particular time.
I mean, you said it so well. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing what he's doing. I'm glad he let us know too, because if all of a sudden we just look up, like you go on a website and it shows a depth chart and you see Cooper Kupp number 10, you're like, wait,
What the fuck happened?
Who's that?
Whoa.
Did
What?
Cooper
No one
Kupp
gave me a
die?
heads up.
Is that Chris Cup?
What are we doing here? Yeah, you don't know. So I'm glad somebody in his camp got to him and was like, hey, you can't just drop this on the American public. You have to type something up.
Is that
you
number
have to
10?
put something out and let everybody know why this huge change just happened.
I agree. If you would have told me Cooper Kupp was number 10 one day ago, I would have said you're fucking right. I apologize, Cooper Kupp. I need to pay attention a little bit more. Hasn't he been hurt though a little bit? He's
Yeah,
like very
last year he
good,
was, yeah.
but he got hurt. He's
Yeah,
very,
he
very
is.
good.
He's very good. He's a huge asset to the team. But the question is, Pat, I almost called you Dave because we're talking about Portnoy for so much. I'm still just thinking of him,
not smart enough.
the video of them pulling out random small pinhole cameras off his body.
Out of his
I can't wait. I can't wait to watch it play out.
Have you ever seen that video where that one guy walks out of a store or something and he has like 15 guns on him?
Oh, yeah.
He like pulls out the shotgun out of his crotch and like he has like maybe a 50 cal comes out. He has like a flannel and like he starts
Uzis.
pulling out pistols and
Yeah.
Uzi. That's what Dave's gonna be like with cameras going in there. They're gonna be like searching and be like, well, get the tripod out of the way. There we go.
Do you think Cooper Kupp was watching the show and saw the coverage that Cole Beasley got for switching numbers and was like, bingo, that's how I get back?
You want a trend real quick in the sports world? Change your number. Does anybody think it matters? Absolutely not. But hey, only thing to talk about whenever there's no world of sports aside from Korean baseball, which I'm already done with, still gambling on, but done with it, and human cockfighting. So I think this is a good move by Cooper Kupp. Get the logo out there, by the way. Have you ever seen that logo before?
Have not.
Have not. And now we know he's number 10. Get the jerseys. Maybe it's a
Hey,
retweet.
who's next? That's the question. Who changes their number next? Amendola? Edelman? Who does it?
Ooh.
Staying in the same vein of what?
gotta be-
Cooper
it does
Kupp,
feel like
Cole Beasley,
Caucasian-
slot
It's gotta be
receivers.
a white wide receiver.
Caucasian wide receivers are changing.
Probably
their
that kid for the Cardinals last year.
Well, Andy Isabella.
number. Oh, who's the dude from the Raiders?
Hunter Renfro.
Renfro. It's a good pick.
So Hunter Renfro that changed his number within the next.
Hunter should change it.
That'd be insane.
Gruden's not going to let that fly.
Well, Gruden will understand. Gruden sees all these other white wide receivers changing their number. Gruden, hey man, gotta do it, man. He'll be in for it, I think. There's a human cockfighting event tomorrow night. Is there any fights in there we should know about as our MMA expert?
This one came up quick, didn't it? After the barn burner we had Saturday.
sure
I think
did.
Anthony Smith is fighting on this one. He's a monster.
Who?
Anthony Smith is his name.
He's a monster.
Big dude. He fought John Jones. Got beat by John Jones, but he's still a stud.
Dana White's like, listen, I pulled one off. Now it's time. Let's put another one up and another
Dana
one.
has like 42 fights he has to put on as part of the ESPN deal, so he's going to be putting on fights every 3 days now.
But thank you, Mr. Dana White. I hope it's safe, health-wise, and all that stuff. But gives us something to potentially talk about if somebody stands right down the center of an opponent and lets them wail 5 to 6 haymakers at them. I mean, that'll give us something to talk about for what, a good 5-10 minutes if we have to.
NASCAR's back too. Don't they have a race this weekend?
Who cares?
Who cares?
Oh, I forgot. You're on the outs with the NASCAR people from the comment about the guy during the race online who may have said something and then continued the race and finished
He
it.
didn't may have.
Excuse me?
Pretty clearly.
Well, I think it was beeped when I heard it, so I don't know what exactly they beeped.
Your Ohio is showing, AJ.
Oh, wow. Boston just said
My
that.
Ohio, what does that mean?
know what
Boston
it
just
means.
said that. Anyways, I'm happy NASCAR's back. Okay, that'll be good
Are
for
they
us.
at Daytona? No, don't care.
Talladega.
Talladega's another one.
Maybe
Maybe Texas Motor Speedway.
You like that guy? What's his name?
Ricky Bobby?
No, the guy sings that song. He's got the sunglasses.
Who sings it?
Is it Eric Church?
Eric Church. You like Eric Church?
I don't really know much about country.
I thought you would be a music guy. A country-
I'm somewhat of a music guy. I'm not a huge country fan right now.
Oh yeah, you like Bret Michaels and the Guns N' Roses and the Styx.
I like the hits.
Play the hits, dude.
Play the hits, man. I don't need to hear some underground garbage that you think this person's going to blow up in 14 years. Like, I like the hits.
Play Piano Man.
What about the new 6ix9ine?
Tekashi 6ix9ine.
Hey, everybody's mad. What, you're upset because I got 5 million live views?
2 million. Still very impressive. And his new song is one of the most poorly written songs of all time. But boy, that beat in the background is an absolute heater.
Your kids listen to Tekashi?
Nah, not a whole lot. Not yet. Maybe in a year or two we'll get into
You want to hear what the opening line is?
Yeah.
Something, something, Dick Rider.
He had to move, though, right? Because he took a selfie and his neighbor saw him. They exposed him.
If your kid isn't a fan of Tekashi 6ix9ine yet, it's going to take a couple years. I, unfortunately, not 100% sure Mr. 6ix9ine will be around. Now, there seems to be quite a struggle going on from the 6ix9ine fans to all the people that believe he's going to get murdered quickly on the internet currently. But it feels like there are some people who are not happy that old 6ix9ine is out and about. And I don't know enough about the street code and the gangs and things of that nature. But it feels like the people who are saying that he's going to die have potentially been a part of killing people before.
Man, like the confidence that dude had in that video, too, like in his stream. I'm like, geez, like if he truly has that much confidence or maybe he's a little delusional on the situation he is in, like, man, I guess I give you credit for feeling that safe when it doesn't seem like he's in a great spot right now.
Well, I mean, Tekashi knows more than we do about Tekashi's situation.
Yeah.
But all you got to know is, are you dumb, stupid, or dumb? Huh? Let's move on. Mark Cuban did not say he wants the NBA season scrapped. I would like to let you know. Mark Cuban did not say he wants the NBA season scrapped, but Barkley and Shaq certainly did. Mark Cuban and I had a little bit of an exchange this morning on the internet. FYI, he dropped for your information, Pat, I didn't say I want the season scrapped. Thank you very much, even though Charles Barkley and Shaq did. I apologize for misquoting Mark Cuban then and now. It seems like Mark Cuban, Adam Silver, and a lot of people that are in power are like, hey, we want to make this happen. We just have to wait until it's the safest to make happen. But Charles Barkley and Shaquille O'Neal are very much out on it. They've said the asterisks will be too big. It won't be a real championship. In my eyes, I think it'll be even bigger. I think you'll be able to brag that you won the first ever NBA March Madness setup, kind of like a bracket tournament, which is awesome for everybody. But how do you deal with free agency and going to a different teams and all that type of stuff? I'm just not sure. And I think that's what Shaq, Charles Barkley, aside from the dangers of it all, are also thinking about from the business side for the players.
So Mark Cuban, you lumped him in with, was it Shaq and Barkley?
Oh, yeah.
And he caught wind of this online and reached out to you on Twitter and said he didn't want that. So why doesn't he? We need to get him on the show.
Oh, believe me, there's a lot of tweets under there saying, call in, call in, call in. If you were able to scroll down here, because this graphic was put together beautifully here, but right below that, there's about 200 call-ins, call-ins. And if we get them, I mean, I'm all about it. And I think we got some things to discuss, like potentially him running for president, which I also addressed in that video. I'll be excited to see if he ends up doing that. But maybe Mark Cuban, Pittsburgh guy, goes to Indiana, creates the internet basically, gets rich, buys teams. He and I, similar paths. But yeah, we have to have him on to clear it all up.
Yeah, we do, man. Hopefully, he seems like he goes all over the place. Like he's not scared to go on any kind of show.
By the way, that would be rewarding bad behavior if he was to come on the show for that. And I would just start misquoting everybody.
So what did your initial tweet or video say about Cuban?
I said that the three basically most important faces of basketball in our society, Shaq, Charles Barkley, and Mark Cuban, I think those are three of the top 5 most important faces of basketball to the grand masses, I would believe. If they've all come out and said the season should be scrapped, they probably know something we don't know and probably means this isn't going to happen, even though we have a lot of optimism. Turns out Mark Cuban, who is in the council that's talking to said president about stuff and a part of that whole committee of bringing back sports and also an owner of the NBA, was like, no, I did not say I want the season scrapped. I just say I want it healthy, which brings me back to the optimist thing. It's like, okay, maybe this is happening then. So I went from basically thinking that there was no chance the most awesome NBA thing ever was going to happen to back on board of thinking, hey, this might fucking happen. All from one tweet, 10 words from Mark Cuban.
So you're saying if he came on the show, he would be rewarding your bad behavior, as in you reporting something that he didn't say?
Yeah, because he would be coming on the show strictly because I misquoted him. And he never came on the show before.
And that would give you more reason to misquote people in the future to hopefully they respond to you. Hopefully they come on the show.
You see, we don't have any more bookers. So if we get Mark Cuban by misquoting him, it's like, okay, who do we misquote next? You know?
Oh, Jordan?
It's like we talked about this yesterday with Tom Brady. They reported that he had a deteriorating relationship with Josh McDaniels. And I think I even said, like, well, who told this reporter that? Like, who is your source? Obviously, you don't give your sources up. It could have been anybody to say this. And then Tom instantly comes back and goes on Instagram and says, absolutely not, like we're brothers for life.
Yeah, please stop with this nonsense. Please be more responsible. 19 years together and brothers for life at real_Josh_McD. And I just learned that Josh McDaniels has an Instagram.
Is it private?
I just learned that Tom Brady and Josh McDaniels get along after 19 years, which is pretty fantastic. That's great to hear. And I just learned that what I've always thought, anonymous sources is a bunch of bullshit. Okay. And I know that for the protection of some people, it needs to happen in worlds outside of sports. But in sports, if somebody doesn't put their name on it, it should not be trusted. We've told a story on here where we've been asked to go off the record and talk about something. And I've said, no, I'm not going to do that. If I say something, I'd like you to put my name on it. I think there are so many narratives that can get pushed by an anonymous source. And I'm just talking about in the sports world. I don't think it should be allowed in reporting, but it's a massive part of reporting because these sources can only give up information if nobody knows who the fuck it is, because they'll get fired from their job and they'll no longer have that information. So it's a double-edged sword. But it's very frustrating to hear a person named Anonymous ruin so many fucking, nope. reputations. Anonymous sources have ruined a lot of people's reputations, and nobody has a clue who they are. No, according to my sources, Schefter is great at what he does. We learn a lot from Adam Schefter and a lot from Rappaport and Woj and all that stuff. But man, there's a lot of things that just go unnoticed, and they're completely out of pocket. And anonymous sources is one of them.
Yeah, I understand why they're there, and they there's for these reporters to get any kind of information. There's people all over the place within every team in the NFL, especially if you want to narrow it down, that they're willing to speak, but they can't put their name on it because then they know their bosses would kill them. The players would find out. I get it, but you're right. You can really, one anonymous source, most guys, like a Schefter, all these people, those are credible guys, though. Everyone knows, they've been doing it for a long time. They have credibility, but they all have somebody or multiple people at each team that they call and talk to all the time just to kind of see what's going on. But if you have one, let's say a starting quarterback on a team has a poor relationship with some guy in the front office, and that front office guy is one of the main anonymous sources, they could paint a narrative on this quarterback that looks really, really bad, all coming from two people. It's crazy.
Do it before the draft every year. I mean, they did it to Tua this year.
Mm-hmm.
According to sources, he's not healthy. He's failed physicals. They're not sure if he's smart enough. All these things started coming out. It's come on, dude. Come on.
It's always, there's no way it's going to continue to happen, though.
Has to, because the information that we need to survive, even this show, has to come from a place where people can't say anything. So, although I completely hate it, it has to happen.
Well, I guess to be fair to all these people, I use I mention all the time our anonymous scout friend that we talk to.
Oh yeah, true. I've never said it, but you have, yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, if I just want to say something and kind of get a feel for it, I always say people are saying. There's a little kayfabe break for everybody.
Allegedly, you just gotta say allegedly.
Well, I say allegedly for things that allegedly happened, and one person has a story and the others hasn't been heard as much as the other person. So that's why I say allegedly. For instance, the Indianapolis Police Department with the alleged swimming incident that made it go viral. If I'm just walking down the street shirtless, probably not as big as, drunk punter swims wasted.
Does cannonball into the canal.
Yeah, does can opener.
Well, allegedly is just a way to protect yourself legally.
It's the best word of all time. I did an entire stand-up bit about it. There can be somebody on camera doing something, and their lawyer will come out and say, he is alleged to have blah, blah, blah. Well, you don't know what the still frames and the cut rate of those cameras. There's always some way. Allegedly is the best word of all time, for sure. You're 100% right, but this isn't that. This is anonymous.
Yeah, so do you think now, whoever that writer was that Tom went back at and said, be more responsible with your reporting, does that guy lose credibility?
What was his name? Greg something?
No idea.
Pete Meyer? Meyer? Gary Myers.
Gary was the guy.
At Yahoo?
Well, by the way, we found out Yahoo still exists when we had Charles Robinson a couple weeks ago, who's the senior NFL writer. Did not know that thing still existed. Good for Yahoo, by the way. Still chugging along. No longer a search engine, but we'll do to sports.
Well, if this Greg Myers guy, or whatever his name is, that said this about Tom and McDaniels, if he really is confident, then he should come out and talk to his sources like, hey, man, my credibility is at stake here. I need to be able to quote you. Can I use your name to at least let people know, hey, I got this from somebody on the inside?
Never be able to do it. And by the way, I think people float,
especially not the Patriots.
People float fake stories to those media guys too, just to try to get them in a pickle. You know what I mean? Just trying to bury them a little bit.
Yeah, it happens.
Johnny Manziel slipped and fell off a cliff.
I saw this.
Not rock bottom.
You know what he did? It. His athleticism saved him. His 1 foot slipped. He found a way, I think, to get his right foot to get enough push just to get him away from the rocks.
Yeah. By the way, probably biggest fear there when you're standing on top of a cliff is slipping, right? I mean, while he was falling there was a lot of oh shits happening. Oh no, oh no, oh no. But you're right. Athlete, left foot pushes him out there. Almost does a back dive. I think he landed on his face a little bit. But I respect the fact that he was going up there to do a backflip. I'm a big fan of Johnny Manziel stepping up there to do a backflip because there are some other NFL players that would be scared to death to jump off of something like that.
Yeah.
The only question I have is why in the world does he have a hat on when he's jumping off a 30-foot cliff?
Well, we don't know how those peaks are going. It's quarantine. Haven't had a haircut. Obviously, barbershops are closed.
But you're going to lose it when you hit the water.
Yeah, but then you come back up like a sniper or like a Navy SEAL and put your head in the hat. Ooh. You know what I mean? He goes under and then he finds it, and then he pops up with it right back on his head.
Would be sweet.
Would be sweet. But instead, he slipped, fell, lost it, had to pick it back up, and he's still alive. Good for Johnny Manziel.
Hopefully, he posts another video when he actually completes the backflip.
You think it's going to be a slow, like, backflip where he goes feet first? Or is he going to try to do a couple?
Oh, a double?
It's got to be a slow backflip. And that's the hard thing is going slow with it and being patient so you don't over rotate and smack your face or smack your back.
That's right. It's like Swanton bomb, but backwards.
Is there enough time there, you think, for a double backflip?
Well, hey, do you follow any of these extreme walkers on fucking Instagram, these parkour guys?
Oh, yeah, the parkours, yeah.
Oh, my God. It's my new favorite rabbit hole of Instagram, these people that do these insane flips.
Parkour!
They've been doing double front flips, double back flips. I mean, the shit that I never thought was possible. These little human, they look like little gerbils flying around. they fly, these dudes through the Instagram accounts are insane. And they do the dumbest shit just jumping off of buildings onto other buildings, flipping from building to building. This is a pretty boring one, but
Yeah, that was a good one.
see, you have
They have parkour gyms now where you could take your kids to do an hour of training in parkour.
Those dudes are awesome. There's a house out. There's a couple houses out in Hollywood where these dudes go trampoline, double flip, swanton onto the roof of a house, dive, triple, double, McTwisty into a pool. I mean, it is just never end. And then they do this one thing. I think I've talked to you about it, where they sprint, jump. They use their hands like this off of something, and then they do a backflip. It is insanity what these humans are doing.
Oh, they're unbelievable. Those guys, and then sometimes I get caught in the trap of watching the dudes that climb the super high cranes, hang off one-handed and stuff. Those guys.
Can't do that.
Why are they doing it?
For the views, I guess. I don't know.
Did you see that one where that girl was at the top of that tippy top and they had like a GoPro going around her or whatever?
Oh, she was like hanging off?
Yeah, she was upside. I think she was doing like a one-armed handstand thingy. These humans, I mean, I appreciate what they're doing. I mean, when I'm taking a shit, I like watching it. I think that's what, are they thinking that? Like, hey,
probably.
There's going to be a guy who's a little bit, he's 33 years old, he's Jesus Christ age, he's a little bit portly, and every morning he takes a pretty massive dump. And when he's doing that, he's going to watch us dive and sit at the edge of buildings for absolutely no reason. That's what I do in the morning. Look at this guy.
I mean,
why would you ever think about doing that? Did you see that little front roll thing he did? Look at this.
Oh, God.
Parkour!
Think about the maniac that's standing there with the sky cam. It's Mike Glennon.
From the floor.
yeah, he's on the ground though.
You need help up here?
Oh, my God.
I mean, how many people have fallen? Now, like, especially with social media, and this is a thing now, and there's more people getting into that.
Anxiety.
Where are those videos?
Well,
I know someone recently fell and died doing that in like Russia or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's a safe bet you're going to die if you fall off one of those.
that is a part of the occupation.
Just strap a parachute to yourself, and if you're high enough, it's like going base jumping.
I want to put a squirrel suit on before I die, by the way. I want to put a squirrel suit on and do the whole thing.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Those
Like
are
fly
awesome
through
too.
canyons and stuff.
Difficult.
Like the parkour dudes do, a lot of them do that, by the way. They put on those squirrel suits and they just fucking fly out of nowhere. Yeah, and then that guy just
That
flipped.
guy just did a backflip off the. Yeah, this is.
Gainer!
There's dudes that go off of trucks too. There was a guy the other day that went off of a moving truck off of a bridge. So he was on the roof of like a U-Haul truck or whatever. Yeah. They drove by and he sprinted off the top of it and hit a gainer flip thing. I mean, we have maniacs walking amongst us, and I thank them for their lunacy.
Have you seen Free Solo?
Oh yeah, that guy's got the strongest fingers I've
Alex
ever.
Alex Honnold, he just free climbs that thing with no ropes.
How long do you like living in a fucking Volkswagen van and doing that? He has something where he has to potentially die to feel anything, right? I think that was kind of my takeaway of Free Solo is he had something in him where he had to feel as if there was a chance he was going to fall to his death to kind of get any emotion. I think now that's an insane trait to have, by the way. But yet again, another person, I'm thankful that their brain is the way it is because watching that Free Solo, I mean, knees weak, palms are sweaty, vomit on a sweater already, mom's spaghetti. He was nervous, but on the surface, I looked calm and ready to puke because that guy was on top of these mountains and ledges doing absolutely anything. That guy's a maniac. Yeah. But his fingers have to be so strong. I mean, he was like in a little crab. He put a little chalk on that thing, and he put his little fingers in there, and then he fucking Spider-Man his way up a crack.
How about the film crew, though, that was filming him, too? Those guys are crazy, too.
Nowadays, drones could probably do all that, right?
Oh yeah.
I assume so. They say like he's missing the part in his brain that like functions for fear. Yeah, exactly. So like he doesn't have any fear whatsoever. So like doing that is
That's
just
a hell
like
of a superpower, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like die another day.
He seems to not really need a whole lot of social interaction either.
Yeah, you can't. You're out in the middle of nowhere just staring at a rock.
I mean, if you don't
When he
have
has a
fear,
girlfriend
Bond,
in
James
that,
Bond
in that
movie, I'm
documentary
talking
too
about
with him, and
Normal human.
he's awesome. He's so checked out most of the time.
I mean, a lot of your buddies too are also doing the same thing. So
And dead.
yeah, exactly. So not
Yeah,
too
like
many
all of his friends are
relationships.
dead or
Yeah.
whatever. I watched.
Well, yeah, the one famous climber died. Another famous climber came in who was good friends with him and married the widow.
Well, you got to be in part of that lifestyle.
Almost like a Hunter Biden situation when he didn't marry his brother's widow, but he was with her for a while.
Well, and Dog the Bounty Hunter, he
Yeah.
also tried to.
Yep.
Get
He did.
Beth's-
He married that lady, right?
I don't know. Maybe he's engaged to Beth's sister. I'm not sure. He tried. He gave it a go. I'm not. Sure
Oh, I don't know if it's her sister, but I think he's married to somebody, and he says she helps him through his grief now that his wife died.
Well, he was. I think that was at the time Beth's sister.
Yeah, related to Beth in some way.
I might not have been following along close enough to Dog the Bounty Hunter's love life, but I think that same thing happened. I was watching a movie called I forget what it's called. It's a documentary about the squirrel suit guys, about girls that or dudes that put on the squirrel suit and jump. And one of the humans in the movie died before the ending of the taping.
I think
they
those
cut
guys
to a
die
scene
a
and, like,
lot.
I'm
Wow.
shocked.
Those guys are nutty.
Oh no!
Boy Z, boy Z with the dinger. I want to let you know, in 13 minutes, the Blue Angels are flying over this building right here.
Right over top of you?
yeah.
Yeah, hopefully they'll knock off these fucking construction guys that have been banging on the roof for the last 2 weeks.
How many are going to fly over? Do you know?
I'm going to assume it's going to be a 5-plane set, flying V with the one up in the front,
Standard.
and 2 winging on each
I'm gonna
side.
go 7.
7?
7?
I'm guessing 6.
You're out of your mind.
need a lead guy,
Well, it's
though.
definitely not 6.
Flying V with one in the middle, one behind the guy at the point.
I think
Oh,
4.
so you think a plane?
So like bingo, bango.
You think
Bingo,
jet plane
bango.
flying in the rip
Yeah,
of the other?
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah,
'cause
that's
it-
exactly
it
what
One,
the fucking
jet
two,
wash.
Angel
three,
does.
four,
Washed, dude.
five,
You
get washed
six.
out.
Oh,
Did
my
you see
God.
Top Gun, you idiot.
Idiot.
Just wait, you'll see it.
Idiot. Not even Mav could save that plane.
By the way, I think I'm going to give a motivational speech beforehand, and then we're going to cut up, and the Blue Angels are going to be flying over.
That'll be awesome, man. I went up with them. They're pretty impressive.
What?
Yeah, I went up with them probably 5-6 years ago with Blue Angels, and then I went up with the Thunderbirds a couple years ago.
Is that when you threw up?
Did you puke all over? it?
Puked many, many times, both rides.
What do you do? So you just sit there. It's a double cockpit, and do you go through a course before you get up there?
Yeah, with Blue Angels, you don't wear the G suit, so it's just you kind of wear a little flight suit, zip it up, and they tell you what to do. Like I think it's called kipping on how to breathe to try to push the blood back up to your brain because the G's they force the blood out of your brain. So you do this whole thing, and
What
then you
is
get up
it?
there, and it doesn't matter. You're sick as balls in the heat of it. You try it, and then you flicker in and out. Puke again, tie it off, put it in my pocket. Oh, he does another maneuver. Oh, we just pulled 7 G's. I puked a million times, and I get out of the plane. And there's local media, and I have to sit there and do interviews, ghost white with puke stuck in my pocket. I did that for the Blue Angels, and then 2 years later with the Thunderbirds, and it was awesome. I enjoyed it
How are those interviews? Those have to be.
Have to see him.
Those have to be.
so bad. I can't. I was like right now, because as they're taxiing back, they use it just as a promotional tool for the air show usually that's coming or for whatever. And as we're like taxiing in, I was so thankful to be on the ground after being up for 45 minutes. And being sick for 44 of those 45. And I'm just sitting there so sweaty, jammed in. And I look over and I can see like local TV news cameras like, hey, they just want you to do a couple interviews quick. I'm like, can I go change? Can I do anything? That was before we took off. So I'm looking much better there.
Were you scared to death whenever you were about to take off? Did you know what was about to happen? You knew you were about to puke everywhere.
Well, so I told him, like, there's people that go in and they act all tough, like, oh, hey, I'm not going to pass out. I'm not going to get sick. And the first thing I said both times, I'm like, hey, man, I get car sick in the back seat. Like, so I'm going to puke bad. And he's like, oh, no, we got some techniques to help you, find the horizon. Okay. That goes out the window 4 seconds in.
What was the breathing exercise?
You try to, like, oh, man, I can't even describe it. I forget it. Like, I know the second time with the Thunderbirds, you wear a G suit that helps squeeze, like it inflates with air with more G's that you take on, and it's supposed to like help push blood to your head. And for me, I feel like it made me puke quicker because it just kept squeezing on my chest and stomach area and trying to find my bag as I'm trying to the kipping, breathing techniques. And then I just started. I remember he was trying to do a maneuver and pull however many G's. And he's like, all right, here we go. And he counts it down. They're all, the pilots are unbelievable. The dudes are so amazing. And I remember starting it with the Thunderbirds the second time. He's like starting the thing. And I'd start to do the breathing, whatever. And then I just started yelling, ah, and then I was out for like a split second. I remember like out, and I popped. I'm like, what? Ah, and I like forgot where I'm like, did I go out? I'm not out, right? I didn't go. And he's kind of laughing. He's like, you may have flickered a little bit.
Well, they're just trying to fuck you up too.
Yeah, that's their job.
Yeah, that's all they're doing. And I was asked to do the Red Bull one because they do those Red Bull air race here in Indianapolis. Which, by the way, late night watching, pretty good to watch those little things. They look like little insects in the sky. And they asked me if I would do one to promote it was coming, and I said absolutely not. They call it a G ride.
That would make me so sick, especially when those guys, they fly in and out of like the obstacles in the air, and they just shoot like those super quick maneuvers. They do everything. Like when I was up there, like the vertical takeoff or whatever, where they hover right above the runway and then just shoot straight up in the air, and then they twirl, and you see through the cockpit like the ground beneath you in the airport. And I'm like, all right, I don't know what way is up now. And I didn't realize what way was up until I got down, and we landed 45 minutes later.
Think about dudes and ladies do that every single day.
They're flying the plane. That's what I'm like, wait, this dude's controlling this whole situation. How in the world does this happen?
He's asking for it. All right, let's go straight up as fucking high as we can. Let's touch space this time. We got fucking big chinned AJ Hawk back here. Keep it going. Is he out yet? He's starting to get there, and he's out. Let's go back down. I mean, that's insanity. You got humans out here. The squirrel suit folks, these extreme parkour people, Blue Angels pilots. I mean, there's people that free solo guys and girls that climb these mountains. There's humans out there that just got different things in between the ears. They're like the human cockfighters.
Yeah, they are. I remember asking him, like, man, how do you guys do this and not get sick? Like, you just always been like this? Like, well, we go through a bunch of training, and I got sick a little bit early on. Every once in a while you can get sick. But no, it's not too bad for us. I'm like, I don't know. If I did this for 30 straight years, I would puke every single flight.
Yeah, I feel like it's like the people who chew tobacco.
What?
Like the first time, everybody says that chews tobacco. They said the first time they did it, they got sick. The second time they did it, they got sick. The third time they did it, they got sick. But then they fought through it. I have tried chewing tobacco every single training camp I've ever been a part of, and I get sick, and I go, I'm never fucking doing that again. And then 1 year later, I try it out. I have a couple beers. Maybe I'm feeling a little intoxicated. Hey, Pat, you're gonna chew? Yeah, give me that thing. I start packing it in there. I put it in there, and 2 minutes later, get that thing out, and then you're like trying to dump it out of the thing. And they say, yeah, that's normal. You just got to power through that. It's nice to know that that's what Blue Angels are like.
Yeah, I've never tried dip strictly for that reason because I've watched.
Yeah, right. Training camp?
What's that?
Training camp, it never was just like.
No, because that's training camp is where, starting in college, is where I got to watch firsthand guys try dip for the first time, and we watch them just go white, start sweating, feel awful. I'm like, no, I don't want to deal with that. Like, why would I try it?
You never tried it once.
Never. I never have. No, I'm scared of it. First off, I'm scared I would like it a lot, and I don't want to puke on my first try.
I guess people really love this whole feel about having a big old lip ring. The bigger it is, the better, by the way. Other people that chew tint, they would respect it the bigger it gets. And to be honest, like, I'm starting to lose feeling in my lip, and maybe I can't brush my teeth anymore. But I'll tell you what, this buzz I get for about a minute and a half now, because I've been chewing for so long, is certainly fucking worth it.
Sometimes the top shelf is pretty good.
What is it now, though?
Ty literally just spit while we're doing that.
No, yeah, I haven't gotten a buzz in years either. That's the problem.
But you have to do it.
Oh yeah.
But Ty, isn't it like it's about? Isn't there times of the day that you have to have it, or you're driving in a long car ride and stuff like that?
Yeah, every point of the day.
When you're pooping in the shower,
so every point of the day, Ty, you're just trying to not
hour, watching movies, crushing dinner, crushing beers, chewing cope. I'm a winner. That was the Copenhagens. They were a band from our high school, and it was 10,000 Reasons to Cope or something like that is the name of that song. They loved Copenhagen.
Huh. We used to have I wonder what it's like now. Can kids dip in high school?
They shouldn't. It's the worst fucking drug. I don't know how.
It's awful. But we used to have kids get suspended and stuff if they got caught dipping.
Yeah, you get pouches. It's fine.
A lot of states have been raising it to 21 now.
They should.
What about like snus and all that? There's all this stuff where you don't have to spit anymore.
Snus is nice.
It's the worst. I don't know why. It's the absolute worst.
So hard to quit too. That's another thing that makes you like, wow,
They
I
get
have
their
no
hooks
reason to
in
try.
you. They get their hooks in you, and you just got the same. By the way, I think it was the same people I tried chewing with each year. The same exact people, and they were still chewing from the year before. They'd probably had 4,000, maybe 10,000 dips since the last time I had tried one. And I puke. I can't. I've always said the only drug I've ever tried that hasn't been good to me, tobacco.
Well, they get the hooks in with the snus because that's the stuff that tastes good that you don't have to spit, and then
Minty,
eventually
very
it's like,
minty.
this isn't doing anything. Need to go up to the big leagues, and then you kind of just keep graduating.
Winston-Salem, big home of tobacco down there. You should have seen their fight on the vapes. Whenever we went down there to call, who's down there?
Wake Forest.
Wake Forest. When we went down there to call the Wake Forest game, they were having a town hall about how dangerous the vapes are. This is the home of tobacco. This is the home of tobacco, which has caused what? 40 million deaths, probably, maybe even more north of that. Having a town hall on how dangerous vapes are, and we need to get them the hell out of our town.
Yeah, there's a big like conspiracy angle to all of that.
That tobacco owns all of them?
Well, yeah, like they're involved with vapes too. It had to do with, I don't know exactly what it was, but with the flavored vapes, they're trying to keep, like, you can't put flavor to it because it makes young kids like it. And the people with the vapes, obviously, they want to get young kids hooked early on when they're like in high school. So they love I got a grape tobacco flavor, and then you have a client for life. Then
I'm
Bad
happy
deal.
I never got into tobacco. I mean, granted, you're completely addicted to nicotine with your cigar usage.
yeah, maybe. No, I mean I go plenty of days when I don't smoke cigars, but I do enjoy them.
Or are you just miserable those days? Tough to
No.
deal with?
I'm not, but I mean I'm not blind to it. Yeah, I enjoy it. But if for some reason I had to completely quit,
Blue
I
Angels.
would.
Blue Angels are taking off like right now.
Where's the airport? How far away from where you are?
Not far.
I'm not sure what airport.
Hey, you know what?
yeah,
Crazy too. I asked them. So when they're flying they go all around the country and they put on shows and all that stuff. I was like, so like, what if you're flying from Ohio to California or whatever? How fast do you fly? They're like, oh, we fly same as like a commercial jet. I'm like, so you're up in this tiny little cockpit for like 5 or 6 hours? And they say, oh yeah, we have to get refueled in the air and everything while we're doing this.
Oh yeah, because
And
they have that one plane that flies overhead that comes and drops its little male piece into the female piece, just like a bong, and then they siphon gas in from one plane to the next so they can keep going. Got to be ready for wartime. And there's people, by the way, that hate that these Blue Angels are doing this as a display. They got to fly anyways. These people have to practice in the skies. At least doing it over Indianapolis, I think a lot of people will be like, hey, look at the fucking Blue Angels. Look at our guys up there, our girls up there.
It's a big morale booster, right?
Well, I'm about to go give a speech while they fly overhead. We got to get out there.
Hey, they're doing it for like the nurses and the first responders, right?
Right, and they're doing it for us too. This has been a great McAfee and Hawk sports talk. The Blue, unless you want to just hang around. Do you want to hang around for a couple minutes?
Are you guys going out? Well, no, because it's not till 2:05. I thought you got like 4.5
It
minutes.
starts at 2. We have no idea
We
how
have
long
no
it's going to take to get to here.
They drew a full thing on top of our city and said, "Here's the layout. We're coming."
You'll be able to hear them. Why don't you have Billy go stand there and you can see in the
You
distance
think
or
we're
hear 'em.
faster than a jet?
bro. They're flying. Yeah, they're the
Dude, it's
fucking.
like 800 miles an hour.
You've
No,
been
I know,
in the
but they're not
plane
going to be
before.
flying 800 miles an hour the whole time.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Cruising.
Hey, we'll see you Thursday. This has been a great McAfee and Hawk sports talk. AJ, you're the best, pal.
Thanks, pal.
I just fucking heard it. Damn it. AJ, are you kidding me?
Shut it off. Shut the music off. Did you miss him?
You can hear him right
They're
now.
hovering over our building.
They're flying. They're flying.
Great show. Hey, go see the Blue Angels up there. Yeah, is that the fucking Blue Angels?